I have myself and my team out making great content and acquiring great content, but if 1 out of 10 times you push play, it didn't work, we'd be toast.
Netflix's Q2 report came out, and apparently they lost 1 million subscribers in the second quarter of this year, which we already saw that at the beginning of the year, they lost 200,000. The next month, they lost another couple 100,000, and they had projected that they were going to lose a couple million over the next few months.
I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can do it.
Now I have to.
I think that's just so unfair to the guy. Are we really gonna blame everything and scapegoat this guy? Well, think about it. If the show was so great, why did the first guy leave? It's so unfair.
Promote this thing until a month before it came out. They knew that switching from like Henry Cavill to Liam Hemsworth, as downhill as the franchise has gone, everybody knew that even they knew it'd be shit. Were we expecting this? Witcher Season 4 is sitting at 17% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Back in
They should have just canceled
2019, it was and there were more than a few outlets and
I don't know why Netflix would have even continued with it, because like it's only going to damage their brand and make them look bad. Like you probably should be paying money to not have it shown.
saying that's possible, actually releasing the show. And let's just
I don't know why they released it. They should have just canceled it. That's fine. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people obviously don't like this type of content.
I can make whatever I want. I've got him on a farm milking people. I'm gonna send him to the ladies with the red bonnets on. Because everyone can have their version. Everyone shouldn't. Everyone doesn't matter enough to have their version. What matters is the millions upon millions of people which have bought the games, and they deserve to be represented. Lauren doesn't. Lauren's irrelevant. I'm not sure why Lauren's the showrunner. She already scared off the best asset that the series has. Getting rid of Henry Cavill and keeping Lauren would be like losing a Wagyu steak and having it replaced with a carrot. I mean, sure, both.
It was supposed to be a celebration, the grand return of one of Netflix's biggest fantasy series. Instead, The Witcher Season 4 trailer landed like a thunderclap of disappointment. Within minutes of its release, the internet went nuclear. Comment sections flooded with disbelief, memes exploded across Reddit, and the same question echoed everywhere. Where's Henry? What should have been a victory lap turned into a public relations meltdown, because behind the flashy trailer and polished marketing, fans saw something deeper, a franchise that had lost its soul. And as outrage spread, whispers began surfacing about what really happened behind closed doors. Whispers that pointed directly to one man, Henry Cavill. What unfolded next wasn't just backlash. It was a rebellion against an entire way of doing business in Hollywood.
They're promoting it all that much because here it is, Season 4 for The Witcher. Not looking good so far when it comes to the reviews. When it comes to the critics, right now they're at 55%. But when it comes to the fans, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes. Starting point is not good for this show. And we knew that Season 4 was going to be a disaster. We knew why Henry Cavill left. We knew because they had desecrated the lore and like everything that people love from the books, from the games. That's not what this TV show is about. In fact, it's about the activist showrunners and the activists at Netflix doing what they want with the character, regardless of whether that's in line with what everyone else loves.
October 10th, 2025, the day the Witcher fandom collectively lost its mind. Netflix had teased a bold new chapter, but the moment Liam Hemsworth appeared in Geralt's armor, optimism vanished. The dislike counter surged like a broken meter. In just 24 hours, over 5 million views poured in, nearly half of them negative. Fans accused Netflix of gutting what made the series special, its authenticity. On X, #NotMindGeralt trended in more than 20 countries, while Reddit threads titled "Netflix has no soul left" hit the front page. Critics and influencers piled on, calling the new trailer corporate fantasy and cosplay. To outsiders, it might have looked like overreaction, but to longtime fans, it was personal. Henry Cavill was the heart of The Witcher, a lifelong gamer and lore purist who'd built Geralt from passion, not paycheck.
It is. This show was going down the shitter for years. People were hating this show for years.
The Witcher was supposed to be 7 seasons, but it was abruptly cut down to 5 after Henry Cavill left, and Lauren Hissrich is lucky she got that. But she does say, are there more stories? Maybe. Well, actually, there's a lot because you skipped them, but this one has to end at this point. So I think it's a nice time for all of us to step back a little bit. And that probably has a lot to do with the audience stepping back a long time ago.
For all the positive reviews, well, you've got IGN, that's never a good sign, as Critical Drinker says, they can't exactly be trusted when The Penguin got a 5, The Witcher got a 7, and The Marvels got an 8. It basically looks like their score goes up the more girl power a series has. Siri. Although they did give Willow a 9, so there are times when they absolutely knock it out of the park.
Seeing someone else wield that silver sword felt less like a recast and more like betrayal. Long before the chaos, Cavill had dropped subtle hints that trouble was brewing. In interviews, he spoke carefully about creative differences, saying he wanted to honor the original novels. At the time, it sounded polite. Now it feels prophetic. Insiders later revealed he'd grown frustrated with writers mocking the source material and bending lore to fit algorithm-friendly storylines. Still, he stayed professional, carrying the show with quiet conviction. Fans noticed the shift between seasons 1 and 3. Less grit, more spectacle. By the time his exit was announced, many suspected he'd finally had enough of fighting for the story he loved. When the season 4 trailer dropped, those suspicions hardened into certainty. Cavill hadn't abandoned The Witcher. He'd escaped it.
The Witcher showrunner also addressed the backlash to the show. No one's taking the books away. No one's taking the video games away. Everyone can have their version of The Witcher. Unfortunately for you, Lauren, it turns out no one wanted your version.
I think the strangest of the positives is CBR, though. Liam Hemsworth Geralt silences the haters. What, you mean like the critics? Do you mean the professional top critics? They've been silenced, yes. Probably because they left and didn't finish the series. They're not watching any more of this tripe. That's why they don't need to talk about it anymore. This season of The Witcher is make or break for...
Apparently, The Witcher 4 is, well, you know, so bad it got cooked. It did. It got completely cooked. It's totally dead.
Siri, are you here?
The audience's outrage wasn't just about losing an actor. It was grief for losing integrity. Inside Netflix headquarters, panic hit fast. Executives had predicted some pushback, not a global firestorm. Every tweet promoting The Witcher 4 drowned in thousands of "Bring Back Henry" replies. Internal reports described morale on the marketing team as meltdown mode. Ted Sarandos, the company's CEO, allegedly ordered the focus to shift towards the future, not nostalgia. But that only made things worse. Every attempt to spin optimism felt hollow. Even mainstream outlets like IGN and Screen Rant stopped defending the show, publishing headlines about fan mutiny and the collapse of Netflix's fantasy empire. The backlash became symbolic of something bigger, the widening gap between audiences and corporations that treat stories as data points. For Netflix, this wasn't just bad press. It was an identity crisis. In Hollywood, very few moments ever happen without a PR team polishing the edges. Meetings are planned, sound bites rehearsed, and every leak is usually just marketing in disguise. But according to multiple reports from inside Netflix headquarters, one particular meeting wasn't planned, rehearsed, or filtered. It was raw, and it changed everything. As the backlash to The Witcher 4 trailer hit full force, chaos rippled through Netflix's upper ranks. Departments scrambled to spin narratives. The marketing team drafted new statements every hour. But one name kept surfacing in every conversation: Henry Cavill. He hadn't said a word publicly, but his silence spoke louder than any press release. Some insiders described it as the ghost in the room. Every executive knew that until Cavill was addressed, the backlash wouldn't die. So, as the story goes, Sarandos requested a private conversation. No agents, no assistants, no legal advisors. Just two men sitting across from each other in a glass-walled conference room overlooking Los Angeles. The city buzzed below them, the kind of metaphor that writes itself. Sarandos reportedly opened the discussion the way executives always do, with numbers. He talked about streaming projections, engagement metrics, and long-term scalability. To him, The Witcher was a brand to be managed, not a legacy to be protected. But Cavill didn't interrupt. He listened, nodded politely, and when Sarandos finally finished, he asked a single question that cut through the corporate haze like a sword through fog. Do you know why people watched The Witcher in the first place? Sarandos hesitated. Cavill didn't wait for an answer. It wasn't because of marketing or algorithms or trend data. It was because they believed in the story, in Geralt, in his moral code, in the idea that loyalty and honor still mean something. His tone wasn't angry. It was heartbreak wrapped in calm.
Then came the line that would allegedly echo through the company for months afterward. "You're talking about numbers, Tad," Cavill said quietly. "I'm talking about stories." According to those present nearby, the room went completely silent. For a long moment, the only sound was the hum of the city outside. Cavill leaned forward, almost whispering now. "You can't manufacture passion. You can't fake respect. The audience knows when something's made with love and when it's made with spreadsheets." Sarandos reportedly tried to defend the creative direction, mentioning modernization and broadening appeal. But Cavill countered instantly. "You don't broaden a story by hollowing it out. You make it universal by staying true to what made it real in the first place." There was no shouting, no slammed doors, just an uncomfortable stillness. When the meeting ended, Cavill stood, thanked Sarandos for his time, and left the building without another word. That was it. No scandal, no tweet storm. But for Netflix, that quiet departure felt like an earthquake. Word of the conversation spread fast, whispered among employees, leaked to entertainment blogs, debated endlessly online. Whether every detail was accurate or not didn't matter anymore. The legend had already formed. Cavill wasn't just the face of Geralt. He'd become the face of artistic integrity. Fans started calling him the Witcher in real life, a man standing up to the monsters of modern media, not with swords, but with principle. And as Netflix tried to regain control of the story, that one private meeting, or even the idea of it, became the symbol of the entire controversy. In that glass office high above Los Angeles, Henry Cavill reminded the most powerful streaming company on Earth of something they'd forgotten, that stories aren't data, and fans aren't numbers. They're people who just want to believe again. After the meeting, Netflix doubled down, and it backfired spectacularly. Comments under the trailer started disappearing. The dislike ratio was hidden. Fan threads critical of the show mysteriously vanished from official communities. To the audience, it looked like censorship, and nothing fuels online fury faster than that. Screenshots of deleted comments spread like wildfire, sparking hashtags like Boycott Witcher 4 and Justice for Cavill. Netflix tried to pivot, releasing glossy featurettes of Liam Hemsworth training and promising a darker, bolder tone, but the damage was irreversible. One ill-advised PR statement even claimed Henry had given his blessing to Liam, a quote traced not to Cavill, but to Netflix's own marketing team. Fans saw it as manipulation, not reassurance. For a company built on controlling narratives, losing control of this one was catastrophic. When corporations fumble authenticity, fans often move on. But the Witcher community did the opposite. They fought back creatively. Within days, fan edits resurfaced of Cavill's best Geralt moments, cut against his old interviews where he defended lore accuracy. Clips of him correcting journalists or talking about Sapkowski's novels went viral again, captioned, "He cared." Then came the AI deepfake edits, unofficial recreations of Season 4 scenes, but with Cavill's face seamlessly mapped back onto Geralt. Those clips outperformed Netflix's official uploads within hours. It wasn't about technology, it was a message. If Netflix wouldn't respect the story's soul, the fans would resurrect it themselves. Online petitions demanding Cavill's return gathered over 1 million signatures, while Reddit users formed what they called the Cavill Covenant, a loose movement dedicated to protecting faithful storytelling in fantasy adaptations. This wasn't just fandom, it was a rebellion with purpose. The days following the trailer release were chaos inside Netflix. What started as social media noise turned into a full-blown corporate emergency. Internal Slack channels flooded with panicked messages. Marketing teams were told to control the narrative, but no one could define what that even meant anymore. Meetings were called around the clock. Brand executives in California, PR strategists in New York, and international leads from London to Warsaw. Every continent had the same problem. The Witcher brand was imploding in real time. At first, executives believed it would blow over. After all, Netflix had weathered storms before: bad reviews, casting controversies, social media outrage. But this wasn't just criticism, this was rejection. Fans weren't asking for fixes. They were walking away. Within 48 hours, subscriber cancellations reportedly spiked by thousands. Meme compilations mocking the trailer hit millions of views overnight. One viral post summed it up perfectly. Netflix doesn't need a Witcher anymore. It needs a priest for last rites. The higher-ups responded the only way corporate giants know: by throwing money at the problem. PR budgets were doubled. Influencers were quietly offered sponsorships to reframe the narrative. One marketing exec allegedly pitched a redemption campaign called Witcher Reforged, designed to emphasize new beginnings and creative boldness. It sounded fancy and completely out of touch. You can't buy back trust once it's broken. Meanwhile, Liam Hemsworth tried to shoulder the impossible. He posted gym clips, smiling interviews, and cheerful gratitude towards fans. But the comment section was brutal. "It's not you, Liam, it's the writers," one fan wrote, a sentiment echoed thousands of times. Others compared the show to a high-budget fan film with lines like, "It looks like Netflix tried to cosplay sincerity." What should have been the beginning of a new era for The Witcher had become a digital funeral for its legacy.
As the weeks dragged on, Netflix executives reportedly debated reshoots. Some proposed rewriting the first 2 episodes to clarify the transition between Cavill and Hemsworth. Others suggested leaning into the controversy with a self-aware marketing angle, but nothing worked. Every new move came across as desperate damage control. One insider described the office atmosphere as corporate dread. No shouting, just exhausted silence and caffeine-fueled meetings that solved nothing. Then came the reviews. Industry critics who once praised The Witcher as Netflix's fantasy crown jewel now tore it apart. Rolling Stone called Season 4 technically dazzling, but emotionally hollow. The Verge said it feels algorithmically designed to mimic sincerity. One reviewer summed up the entire problem in a single brutal line: "The Witcher used to be a story told by believers. Now it feels like a story told by committee." Netflix's usual tactic, flooding social media with cheerful soundbites, only made things worse. Hashtags like #WitcherWatchParty were hijacked by sarcastic posts. Even longtime Netflix loyalists began questioning the company's creative direction. How could the same platform that gave the world Stranger Things and Wednesday misread its audience so completely? Behind the scenes, the fallout reached deep. Some reports claim that Netflix quietly canceled several planned spin-offs and merchandising tie-ins. The once promised animated prequel series vanished from the release calendar. Investors started asking hard questions on quarterly calls, not about profits, but about reputation. "Are we losing touch with our audience?" one analyst asked bluntly. The uncomfortable answer was yes, because while Netflix obsessed over trends, Henry Cavill had become the symbol of the very thing they'd lost: authenticity. His silence was louder than any statement they could release. The more Netflix tried to defend its creative choices, the more audiences rallied around Cavill's quiet dignity. It was the ultimate irony. The company with billions in data couldn't outthink one man's integrity. By the end of the quarter, The Witcher 4 wasn't just a failed season. It was a cultural lesson. The internet had decided that Netflix, the platform that once disrupted television, had finally disrupted itself. The algorithms that once predicted what people wanted had met something they couldn't quantify: passion. And as one viral tweet put it best, Netflix taught the world to binge. Henry Cavill just taught them to believe again. While chaos consumed Netflix, Henry Cavill thrived in silence. He wasn't gloating or throwing shade. He was building. Industry chatters suggested he'd begun working on his own production company focused on faithful fantasy storytelling. Others whispered about potential collaborations with The Witcher game developers, CD Projekt Red, perhaps even a rival adaptation truer to the lore. None of it confirmed, but the symbolism was undeniable. Cavill had become more than an actor. He'd become a statement, proof that integrity still matters. Without posting a single tweet, he turned into the internet's moral compass. For fans tired of Hollywood's obsession with trends, he was hope made human. And for Netflix, that made him dangerous. By the time The Witcher Season 4 finally premiered, the damage was irreversible. Viewers described it as a story made by committee. Ratings plummeted. But beyond the numbers, something profound had shifted. Audiences had drawn a line. They were done accepting hollow content. The Witcher fallout became a warning shot to every studio chasing engagement over emotion. Henry Cavill walked away from one of the biggest shows in the world, but he left with something Netflix's billions couldn't buy: respect. Because in an industry where reboots and algorithms rule, authenticity has become the rarest currency of all. Cavill didn't just outlive The Witcher, he outlasted the system that forgot why stories matter. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real magic fans were looking for all along.